gonna say hello. How are you? I missed you since our random grocery shopping run-in.
That was the best, by the way. You
Yeah,
made my whole week. I was like, I can't believe I saw somebody I love in real life. It was so
same.
exciting.
It had already been so long, and I just remember I was like, I know that face, or more so like I know those eyes
I felt
because
this.
we're all masked up. Well, I know we know each other very well, but I guess for those who don't know, I'm Yara, and I have described myself as an accidental actor, but a full-time creative. I'm really lucky because I get to co-run a production company with my incredible mama and business partner. And I'm on a show called Grownish, but I'm also a full-time student and full-time sister. And I think of myself as just a socially engaged human in the world, trying to figure out continually how to be of service with these platforms I have access to.
I'm supposed to follow that up. Oh my God. I'm so bad at this. Well, I'm a designer. I like making things and I like to fuse conscious thought into products and conversations and community building.
I'd have to say you're also a full-time community builder. But I just wanted to see, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I feel like it's like the year of the pivot. It's like
That's a good way to put it.
literally, it's like we're navigating so much new territory. It's a lot of
Hmm.
pivoting, which is kind of exhausting. But overall, somehow I still feel grounded and hopeful.
Yeah. No, I feel very similarly. I'm just grateful to be with family right now, and just trying to make the best of the pivot. And it's nice to be pivoting together. Like there's something nice about the collective pivot because I'm in a family and we're all figuring out every day how we're going to shift.
Yeah.
We have a cool circle of people around us and we get to have these really heady conversations about change. And so I've always known you as a community builder, and I was wondering why it was important for you to bring that element to even your store and that environment.
Yeah. I mean, I think that community for me has always been the most important thing because we need each other, and
Mm-hmm.
not only do we need each other, but we need everybody's perspective for us to be able to move forward. So I've always really believed in creating community to empower one another and to learn together. I'm really good at seeing that and being like, all of us need that. I just love bringing people together.
Yeah, and it makes such an impact, the ethic of community and how groundbreaking that can be. And coming from cultures in which there is a sense of community anchoring what we do, it's really cool to see the ways in which inserting that into life here gives people things that I don't think we usually have access to on a day to day. And pointing back to the production company is vast. It's been really cool because we run a company of women of color, and I think the primary thing that we've so enjoyed being a part of the studio system was like, in order to make the most of it, how can we kindly buck the system to say, there's so many arbitrary kind of paths placed in front of us of, okay, it's at this age that you're supposed to be an EP, or you have to have these many credits to earn this. And oftentimes we know the ways in which it disenfranchises so much of the creativity that goes overlooked within our communities because it isn't given the same credentials or isn't acknowledged the same way. And so it's been really wonderful to be able to, with my mother, have those conversations.
Yeah, I love that so much because what you're actually doing when you say you're kindly bucking the system, it's like you're actually questioning it. Like, why? Because you just made me think of there's so many terms that we abide by. There's these unspoken sort of rules of engagement. One of them that bothers me most is this whole concept of like paying your dues. It's like this thing of like you have to pay your dues. And it's like, but what if you're just it?
Mhm.
What if you have a gift, this is your gift, and you know how to bring it and deliver it, but you don't have
Mhm.
experience? That doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you shouldn't have the opportunity. Like, look at you. How old were you when you started in your first thing? Like
I think movie I was 7. Like,
7, right? It's like you
mhm.
never had to pay your dues as a 7-year old. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
you've always been it. Like you've always been Yara from the moment you were born. You haven't evolved into Yara, you know?
Right. But I was also just wondering in this new day and age that we thought was going to be 1 week and 1 month, and now we're heading towards 8 months and 1 year, how you've either shifted your creative process or what parts of your creative process have even maintained and been really useful in this new time. And if there's any insight you can give us on how you're thinking about what creativity means in this new day and age.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Creatively, I've actually been thinking on a much bigger scale. From a creative standpoint, it's like, what can I do to inspire people or to make people feel empowered so that they can keep going? Because that's what I need more than anything. You know, it's not to get trapped in this thought cycle of like gloom and doom or doom and gloom. But Yara, I'm so interested about you because how did you find your voice at such an early age? And how do you feel like you're able to share your perspective with your generation?
When I was trying to think of why, when I entered the public sphere, I felt comfortable speaking, it really came back to being at home and at a young age, being asked questions that my parents genuinely wanted to know my answer. And there was a feeling of the fact that my voice mattered. And it was important in that really intimate, small space to be able to begin to kind of go through what I call my rough drafts of like how I think about the world, why I think that way. And so I think after realizing that I could bring some of the conversations that we were having at home into the general sphere, that's what got really exciting, because then I also said, well, the next step is to begin my own conversations and to say, hey, these are the things I'm passionate about, and to be able to figure out how to think about liberation and how to think about creativity. And I love what you're saying about thinking about creativity in the broad sense, because I feel like during quarantine, I went through cycles of first feeling like the work that I was doing felt very futile. Like, okay, what am I make television and the world is burning. So what am I doing? There was just a moment or a shift where I was like, oh, it is precisely creativity that we need right now. Because even in the political sense, we're at a point of not just reform, but genuine reimagining. There's very little space to just sit back and think about, if I were to live in this dream of dream world, what would that look like? Or if I were to reimagine what safety feels like to me, separate from this world, what would that feel like? And so that's been, I think, really reaffirming to reinsert creativity as a crucial part of this next process and this next era that we're being ushered into.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing to do is figuring out how to fuse conscious thought into product. Mm-hmm. And so because that's what clothing is. It's like, it's a vehicle for something. It's what you wear every day. It arms you for the day. It prepares you for the things that you have to deal with. It makes you feel all kinds of things, whether it's confidence or security or all kinds of things. And I just think that it's really powerful to create it with intention. And I've never really thought of myself as somebody that was going to reinvent the wheel in terms of fashion. You know, I'm not like doing anything like Comme des Garçons, but I did feel like I always had a voice that was missing in the fashion industry. And so that's sort of the route that I've taken. It's like, how can I arm women with these qualities that I see in them and that I know they have and that I know I have, and have clothing kind of be a reminder or a support.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd wanted to ask is kind of centering on your support network and team building too, because I'm wondering how you've approached team building, not just from a professional stance, but just like kind of from a life perspective of how you build your network of support.
I don't know if I've done it intentionally, but well, first of all, I just love people. I really love people. Mm-hmm. And I can tell if somebody is my kind of people kind of early on. It's really about energy. I kind of structured my business on my ideals
Hmm.
So, for example, like I don't believe in the extremes of wealth and poverty. I decided that in my company structure, that there would be salary caps. So, regardless of how much the business makes, I will never make, or whoever the C-level suite is, will never make more than X amount. And so, I don't know. I think it's high time that we get really creative about how we create our businesses and have more representation. Like
Hmm.
women need to be in the room, people of color need to be in the room. Like, how are we inclusive of all of us?
I love the example that you're giving of even capping salaries, because that's something that proves kind of how practical imagination can be as well. Things like how innovative we can be, and even what feels like small solutions, because it will entail 1,000 different experiments of figuring out what works, what doesn't work. Well, we started this conversation talking about the importance of intergenerational exchange, intergenerational conversation. And so I'm wondering, as you look to so many of my peers who are leading new movements, if you have advice, whether it be for creativity, self care, anything in between.
I think that the greatest piece of advice that I can give is to really dedicate time to researching yourself. I feel like so often I talk to young people or I talk to my peers, and they go in directions of doing things thinking that it's the right thing for them to do. So I always encourage people to take the time to figure out what it is that you would do for free, that you
Mhm.
love, and make that your service, make your work your worship kind of thing.
Mhm. I love that. I think it even connects to what I would say. It's strange to think of like what advice would I give to people my age, but I guess I'm really excited by the way this generation has taken their skill sets and passions and oriented it towards social justice. I think the importance is that I think we all share the same message and same intention. So yeah, that would really just be my continuation, if not total reiteration of the advice that
Oh,
you gave.
I love that, Yara. And you're such a beautiful example of that, because I really feel like you've always just been a creation. Like, you've never sort of been a copy of anything. You've just always been unfolding.
Thank you. I received that. Well, just how grateful I feel to always be in conversation with you. Thank you for just taking the time to kind of talk about what the potential of creativity looks like.
Thank you.
Um, and I love you so much, and I hope to either run into you soon or intentionally see you soon.
Yes, I just want to hug you.
I know. I can't wait to go back to being able to hug. but, but I love you and so much love to
I
you
love
and the
you. Yeah.
family.
Thank
All
you.
right. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. I'll talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye.